Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning, but it's a weird Monday. It's going to be such a stupid Monday. Most people are going to go, huh? What? Are you guys even on today? Well, for those of you who are working today, who are doing normal things, we are doing it for you. Yes. Both Leigh-Ann and Mash and I, we all decided we can't let the people down. The people
Absolutely.
matter. Yeah, the people count. We're not going to drop them in the shit and just ignore them. That's why we're here this morning. Yes. There was a temptation. I will not lie.
Oh,
There was a
really?
very strong one there.
Yeah, very strong temptation. I used to have this phobia for doing, I don't know where it came from. Maybe it's because I always felt when I was doing like weekend shows, and I didn't do a lot of them, but there was a stage where I was doing like the countdown show on a Saturday or whatever it was, and I thought, oh, this is so lonely and sad, boring. Everybody knows.
Goodness.
Everybody knows that on weekends on radio, it was always like, it's like a little bit, kind of nobody really cared what was going on, And even though there were people who were doing shopping and stuff, like Saturday mornings, usually there were a lot of people listening, but it was never good enough for me. I was always like, the real people are there during the week. Those are the people who count. Those are the ones who are going out and working and making a difference. So I still have this thing.
I remember for many years, for 13 years, I worked, I think it was every second weekend. And it was quiet in the newsroom, which made it worse. And you knew that your friends were having braais, and sometimes you'd have to leave the braai to go when the fun was just getting started.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
no.
And then I also have those recurring dreams, and I've just woken up from one where I'm battling. I know I need to read the news and I'm battling to find the papers. And this time the studios had moved. They were in a shopping center somewhere. Gareth, you were already in the studio and I couldn't find you. When I got there were about 40 studios. And when I got to my desk with setting up my mic, all of the papers, the pieces of paper with the news on them were wrapped in that hard plastic that you've got to use scissors to open. And Damon was trying to help me open them. You can tell it's a nightmare because Damon was there.
Yeah.
And he was opening them up, and they opened up into enormous newspapers. And you were going 30 seconds. I was like, see us, just give me your sports bulletins. I've got something to read.
I hope have you at least stopped having those dreams, whatever it is, 8 years after we stopped doing the show? Or do you still have them?
It's
you
still
have
PTSD.
these. Wow. Yeah, you're really traumatized by
forever.
it. It must have been. Good Lord. No, I had the weirdest dream. When was it on? It was yesterday. I was having a nap, and because I had a reasonably busy Saturday, but the Friday was nice and chilled. I mean, I had a headache, but I was fine. It wasn't like one of those my life's going to end headaches, although it started off like that and then went away. I just had a quiet Friday night. Saturday, about midnight, half past 12. So it's not too bad, but went and watched the rugby with Ben and a bunch of other things. Then yesterday I decided to have this nap, and I had this weird dream. You always have the weirdest dreams when it's daytime. And in this dream, it was so frustrating. I could not look anything up on my phone. I kept typing things wrong, and they kept coming up wrong.
Hey, Bo.
Yeah, very strange, right? Like
That is so odd.
It was so frustrating that eventually I woke up from the frustration. I was like, can't be doing. Why am I struggling so much to type this thing on the phone? So it's bizarre what gets you, and I think those kinds of dreams that keep on coming up. And if you're still getting them 8 years after we haven't all been, working at the SABC together, you haven't been in a newsroom for a long time. It's obviously trauma.
Yeah.
It's definitely trauma there. It's definitely trauma. I mean, geez, it's been so many years, Leigh-Ann. I'm actually kind of shocked.
No, but guys, I mean, do you still not dream of high school or even primary school?
No.
No? What's that?
No,
I
I'm
don't-
sorry.
No,
I'm not
I
the
don't.
odd one out here.
don't.
Please
We're not saying
comment,
you-
guys,
we're not
because
saying-
I feel all
We're not
alone.
saying you're weird. We're just saying it's a funny thing to still be worried about, like 8 years after the fact. It's definitely
Yeah,
made
to
a
me-
huge impact on you.
To me, definitely seems like trauma. I mean, you remember traumatic experiences do stick with you for quite a long time. And I mean, I also had a bit of an odd dream this weekend, but it wasn't about high school or anything. It was actually about one of my former pets. So
Oh, yeah.
I actually used to have multiple pets. I used to have dogs, I used to have cats, I used to have all of that. But lately, I've actually been wanting a pet. I've been wanting an indoor pet, something to just be around in the apartment or just to be around in my room, like a turtle or maybe I don't know, a snake perhaps, but something to just sit in my
turtle?
room, and it's just a cute little indoor pet that I can just keep around.
But
And
if you want a
Yeah.
cute
because
thing, why are you thinking about a reptile? That's a horrible thing. That's not cute.
I think
it
it's
is
fun
pretty
having
cute.
a snake.
I think it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
no,
a
you
great
guys
talking
don't.
point. But I started thinking of some of my former pets even, because I used to have a cat, and I actually dreamt about this cat the other day. Hence, I started wanting a pet. And this cat was so
Right.
well mannered, so well behaved. His name was Piss Piss. And this cat
Sorry,
The
what?
problem with that name is that you call them, and then all the neighborhood cats come running because that's how you call cats.
But I was younger back then, and I was actually into Lady Gaga. So I actually remember seeing it somewhere in one of the music videos that Puss Puss meant kiss kiss. So that's what I thought it meant all these years, only to realize that it doesn't mean that, number one. And also, I was so out of it. I was not proper when I was younger. So this cat was also French in my head. So whenever I'd actually summon it, I would say, in French, come here, which is what is it? Vaisi? Vaisi? So I'd say Vaisi pus pus, Vaisi pus pus, and I was just a nutcase. So I dreamt about this cat, and I thought, wow, it'll be great to just have a little pus pus around again. It'll be lots of fun. It'll be lots of. I actually have pictures of it.
That's there, which you can barely see.
Hang on, let's
See
just
where I'm
get you on the
pointing.
full screen here. Somebody said you're very brave to have your back to the windows, Leigh-Ann. Dun, dun,
Oh,
dun.
yes. Open
That's where I can
windows.
see if anyone comes in. But that is my brother's
There's
dog.
a black
the
cat.
black
Oh,
cocker
there's a
spaniel.
dog. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's snoozing, but it's so comforting, and that's why it's fine to have your back to the window. She'll
Are
know
you
first
Yeah.
if
you
someone's there.
hunting?
Yeah, my brother's away. He's in Cape Town with
Okay.
the aunt that I spoke of, who's come to visit from the US.
ooh,
So
very
they're doing
nice.
some touring,
sounds like
which
fun.
reminds me, we went
Yeah.
to we had a private dining room with a table of a lot of us at Marble on Saturday night,
Nice.
and I hadn't been before, which was a nice experience. Beautiful place, obviously, and it was so weird because Gareth, you and I've been exposed to so many celebrities that we don't really react in the way that a lot of people do when they see celebrities.
Yeah. Who did you see?
And well, David Higgs is the head chef, and he's obviously quite popular on shows like My Kitchen Rules. And I'm certainly not a celebrity. I'm not obsessed with any celebrity, really.
Right.
And I was sitting in this dining room, and I looked across, and I could see him standing in the open kitchen. And my hands started sweating. My heart was racing.
Gibo.
Oh, you thought this is a celebrity chef. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was so weird. I've never thought of him in that way before. And it just, I had this like physical reaction. And obviously I looked a bit distracted, and everyone said, "Hello, are you with us?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I'm just spotted David Higgs." And they said, "Oh, he was in here earlier wishing us a good evening just before you arrived."
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
maybe
mean,
I-
it is this
maybe this-
restaurant, right? So
Yeah, of
chances are
course.
you'll see him there. And I always think that just proves that he really is, good at what he does. And it's not in the food, really.
Yeah.
It's his presence that makes it. You've got to be in the shop. You have to be there.
Mm.
You have to be physically present in order to get people excited about the place. If it was just, all his well-trained and perfectly capable chefs, but nobody knows them by name like they know him, then it's just not as exciting. So it's good to know he's still doing that.
Well, I'm surprised at your reaction because I know that food and that sort of thing is not a big thing for you, and chefs and that sort of thing. I mean, we know you'd rather just take a tablet than have a meal if you could.
So here I had this thought over the weekend because the same thing came up about whether or not you'd take a tablet. And I think the same people who love food now would love food in the future, even if we had a tablet. They would want to eat rather than take a tablet because for them, it's not just the nutrition. It's not like you're just trying to get sustenance for your
Calories,
body. For people who really like food, they would carry on eating. It's the whole ritual of it. It's like you got to sit down at the table. Someone's prepared something beautifully. It's the different tastes. And if you just gave them, if you gave them the tablet, those same people they wouldn't take it.
They wouldn't want to wake up every morning.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, because there are people who literally live from one meal to the next. And I can understand it. Even as a non-foodie, I can totally understand, like, if you're really looking forward to an awesome meal. And I get that. That's very, very cool. Sometimes I go, ooh, what I feel like for supper tonight, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's also, like you say, it's rituals as well. And it's either with your partner or with your family that when you're traveling, you'll seek out a special market and get the freshest produce and get excited about what you're going to cook. I remember spending a Christmas in the south of France. Sorry, no, it was in Provence. And just the sheer planning of the Christmas day, we would get wild boar and have certain cheeses and, truffles and just, it's an exciting thing for a lot of people.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend was fun. Listen, poor old Ben tried to get me to pay attention to the rugby, which I did for a little while. And we were in this place in Pretoria. It was quite a vibe on, like lots of people getting excited about the match. It was a very good match. I watched the first half, really. And then I just zoned out completely. My attention span is just, it's just not able to process how people could watch that for 80 minutes or so. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
Doesn't make sense to me either.
No, and then of course we had load shedding back over the weekend, which was annoying as hell because I'd totally forgotten. I'd forgotten about load shedding. I was like, you bastard, you're back, But it was a nice weekend, and I know a lot of people are taking a long weekend because if you took today off, you'd only have to come back to work on Wednesday, which is quite nice.
Living the life.
Would there be, Chris wants to know, would there be a suppository for those who struggle to swallow pills? Imagine that. Imagine you got a meal pill and that pill would sort you out for the whole day. In other words, it might even have to be 2 or 3 pills, right? It might even have to be like 10 because you'd need quite a lot of sustenance there. But if you could take a handful of pills in the morning and you didn't have to eat at all in the day, it stands to reason that you could probably take a suppository and do the same thing. Rather than 10 little pills, take like one big scary looking suppository, and you're like, well, that's my meals for the day. Done.
No, not going to work.
Reminds me of an episode of South Park.
Yeah.
Reminds me of an episode of South Park where they were Cartman discovered that you can actually put food up your ass and then throw it up as shit, basically.
Oh,
so
who knows?
Yeah, you turned the whole digestive system on its head.
Upside down. That was hilarious.
Well,
no.
let's talk about something else. there's quite a lot going on in the world, and we want to get to this. So apparently, if you thought Prince Andrew was going to prison and that Fergie doesn't have any money, you'll think again after hearing a story that Leigh-Ann has for us from a French socialite about those two, Prince Andrew and Fergie, the least popular royals in the world. What's the story about them?
Well, they were very good friends with, she was friends with Andrew and Sarah. And she owned a Swiss chalet, which she sold to them many years ago. And they still owed her millions, like 6.8 million pounds from the sale of this chalet in 2014. And she's 74 now. You don't want to rob an old lady of her, what she's going to live on for the rest of her life.
Sure. Yeah,
so she actually settled for half the amount of the 6.8 million pounds because she was totally under the impression that they didn't have any money. He's supposed to be going to jail. She's penniless.
Yeah.
Well, and then
she's always asking. She's always like trying to find money. Remember, she was caught on tape. This is so humiliating and degrading, and it just shows you even royals sometimes don't know how to behave. Fergie was caught on tape once, offering to like arrange a meeting with Andrew and somebody, and she's like, "Yo, well, for I don't know, a couple of £100,000, I could get you to meet Andrew." And this guy was filming the whole thing. It was so embarrassing. She's basically like peddling influence for cash, and he's always asking for money because he's never worked a day in his life. I mean, for a while he was a special trade envoy, but really the guy's just basically been living on mommy's cash because she's the queen. And it's kind of pathetic that these are adult human beings. Andrew now in his late 60s.
Yeah, I reckon.
And she's probably also in her 60s by now. And it's just kind of sad that these two have never really.
It's an ick.
Yeah, it isn't. And then you imagine you're this old lady who's like, one of your assets is the chalet in the Swiss Alps, and you've been waiting for these two cheapskates to pay you. I mean, they may be royal, but they're cheapskates. You've been waiting. You've been like, oh, guys, you owe me some money for this chalet that you bought from me. The least you can do is pay me. And then these are two famous rich people who are always asking for cash. But she's not asking them for cash, even though they owe her money. Outrageous, actually.
Hey.
Yeah. So, she halved the amount and thought, shame that they don't have any money. Well, now she's just found out that Fergie has splashed £5 million on flats for her daughters in this very exclusive area of Mayfair.
Wow.
And she also found out that Andrew, in the meantime, is said to have paid as little as £3 million to Virginia, however you say her name.
Hollis or something.
Guffrey, looks like. Jeffrey.
That's it.
Oh, I don't know.
Joffrey.
Yeah, I can't remember.
That
sum was meant to be 12 million.
I'm never going to say her name
properly.
Oh, no,
Virginia is the victim.
Yeah. No, Ghislaine Maxwell is the one who's she was Jeffrey Epstein's madam, basically. She would arrange all these underage girls. I mean, what a gross situation. I can't believe more people aren't talking about that every day than they are about all the other stuff. And over the weekend, Hunter Biden, this is Joe Biden's son. This guy's apparently like obsessed with his own penis. He doesn't talk about anything else. He is the biggest embarrassment. I don't know if you've seen what's going on in the news, but for some reason, nobody's paying attention to either Hunter Biden or Ghislaine Maxwell. And everybody's talking about, all the other stuff that's going on in the news. These two are probably connected to some of the most important people in the world. And they somehow are getting away with it. It's amazing how the media just decides these guys are important, these guys are not. I mean, remember all the attention Amber Heard and Johnny Depp got? Well, they had a domestic dispute, but their whole trial was on TV every day. We were all forced to watch these also terribly embarrassing, but really personal things. They didn't involve like child sex rings like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell did. And they weren't the president of the United States' son.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that the other two would be getting way more attention.
Good priority. Yeah.
Amber Heard and Johnny
That's-
Depp. So is it true, speaking of like really, really wealthy people who have no money anymore, is it true that Amber Heard's been kicked out of her house? She can't afford to pay the rent or something, and she's got no money because she's had to hand over a whole lot of cash to Johnny? Or is she just pretending to be poor?
Well, you can never believe another word of what comes out of that woman's mouth. Obviously.
She's definitely pretending.
Right,
I'm
but
not
you
buying
both-
it.
You guys both know that, like, in your own life, there are some people who they pretend to be poor. Now, I know we're used to people who are pretending to be rich, you know, like they're driving a car, but the bank owns it, or they're living beyond their means and they're pretending that they've got lots of cash, but they don't. Do you know any people who are pretending to be poor so that the people they owe money to don't come knocking?
Yes. I know people like that. Well, they're not actually. I primarily do not know the reasoning behind it, but I do know people who do pretend to be poor, and it's the oddest thing. It is the oddest thing on earth, because I do have. Well, it's not my friend; it's a friend of a friend's. Who, if you met him right now, the way he's dressed, the way he carries himself, even his little funk, he has a little stench on him. Even you'd never think that he is filthy rich until
Really?
he walks out into the parking and then presses the button and you're like, that's your car. And you'll be so shocked. I know people like that.
Congo Chris says
maybe he's just petrified of people asking him for money.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, listen, you got to look after you shouldn't really, in a country like South Africa where there's so many poor people, if you have tons of cash, the smart move is to shut up about it. Congo Chris says, I saw an article where Amber Heard has been offered $10 million to do porn. Well,
who wants to watch that?
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
That's true.
She's still good looking, but I don't think she's not attractive to me anymore. I mean, as much
and also,
as
what kind of porn?
Yeah, because after the shitting in the bed, you know what kind of people.
Sure,
that's what you're thinking.
No.
It's like she's
take me to Dubai.
She gets on the bed and she takes the giant shit there, and that's what people have been waiting to see.
What people want to see.
All right,
no, thank
seriously, it's bad enough that I have this puppy who occasionally shits in the house. I cannot stand the idea of having to clean up that stuff every day, and I do it. I mean, you have to, right? But it's so horrible. Imagine you poor old Johnny Depp or worse, because he didn't clean it up. I'm sure they had a maid, and nobody even thinks about those poor people. No one ever goes, "Oh, the poor maid who had to clean up Amber Heard's shit," because Johnny didn't do it. He didn't go there with some, with toilet paper and ew. He didn't do that. He got some poor cleaner from Puerto Rico or something. She's like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Johnny. I'm here to clean the house today." He's like, "Oh my God, I got some, I got something for you to do today. I can't believe I'm asking you this, but do you mind, one of the dogs, shit the bed?" And she's like, "Oh no, Mr. Johnny, that is gross and disgusting." But,
poor Consuela.
But
that's why
Consuela,
they're the ones with all the stories.
I really, please don't tell anybody about this. Mr. Johnny, this does not look like a dog shit. No,
she would have called it out.
Yeah. But Consuela, I swear, it's the dog has a giant asshole, and it was very sick. "Oh, Mr. Johnny, this is disgusting. You're gonna pay me extra?" Bet you they didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised that Prince Andrew and Fergie are pretending to be poorer than they are. It's just they're such cheapskates, those two. Ugh. I've heard stories too about how Prince Andrew would go around the world and then he'd stay with people for free. And usually he'd chase them out of their own house so he could stay there. And then he'd stay there for free, and he'd run up huge charges and things, and have parties or invite other people there and mess things up and then never pay. So this is clearly the kind of behavior that he's used to.
Wow.
But apparently this chalet is still owned by the Yorks, but Prince Andrew's been trying to sell it, but apparently these old debts of his, because he has so many of them, have now these have been frozen as assets, so he can't even sell these places. But then to splash out £5 million on flats for your daughters.
Well, I mean, those two daughters are now the next generation of like useless loyalty. Because I mean, those two have also never worked, and they're also always looking for money. They're both married now, thank God, and it's Beatrice and Eugenie. But honestly, like, what have they contributed to the world? And I know it's tough. I had this conversation just the other day with somebody. If you have rich parents, you don't have that urgency. You don't have that, I've got to make this. It's all up to me. There's no one else who's going to do this. If I don't do it, it's not going to happen. That the rest of us have. And maybe it's because we all dream of being rich, not having financial worries. All of us, right? Everybody. There's no one in the world who goes, it would be way better to be poor. Nobody's ever thought that. Everyone thinks, it must be better to be rich. But then what we do is, and this, I've seen it repeat itself over and over again. You get rich, then you spoil it for your children. Your children grow up, they don't need to work that hard, they're usually lazy, and then they become a problem for the next generation. And it's very rare. It's hard to find people, families, where if the parents are rich, the kids end up being successful too, because they've, and I just mean in monetary terms, obviously, we don't want to complicate this, but the kids who don't have to work because they know mommy and daddy are going to give me a whole bunch of cash, and I'll get a car when I'm 18, and my varsity will be paid for, and I'll just screw around for, the first 15 years of my life, and maybe I'll get a job, maybe in the family business, maybe I won't, but there's always going to be money, so I don't have to worry. I feel like very, very hard. It's so difficult for those people to escape from that trap and end up actually being the kind of people that the rest of us will admire and respect and want to be around.
And Gareth, this is why. Yeah.
I was going to say, who out of that string, that line of family is ever going to step up and say, I'm going to make a life for myself. I'm going to.
No, very few.
No one is.
they're all suckling on the teat. I mean, you hear these stories about the mega rich, but don't even think about them because they're a tiny, tiny percentage of the world. I'm saying people who've, let's say, you start off at age 19 and you work your fingers to the bone and you eventually start your own business somewhere in your 30s maybe or your 40s, and you build it up and then you make some money, and in your 50s and 60s you've got a lot of cash, and by then your kids are reaching their teens, their 20s, and you think, I don't want my kids to grow up like me. I don't want them to have it hard, because I realized like my life was tough. I was always at work. I didn't get to do all the fun things. So you spoil your kids. Nobody can blame parents for doing that. If you had nothing, you want your kids to have a better life. So you give them things, because that's what parents do. You want to make your kids comfortable and happy. And then you realize somewhere along the line, oh my God, I've screwed them up, because now they are incapable of earning their own money. They don't know what value is. They don't know how to make a rand stretch. They don't know what, how much things cost even, because they just use your credit card. And someone was saying to me over the weekend that there's this kid they know, and he behaves like such a little brat when things don't go his way. Like he phones his dad and says, I tried to buy this, but the credit card wouldn't go through. Like, what is wrong with you? Why don't you make sure that it's working? All because he's so used to getting money for nothing. Now, I don't know anybody who wants to be around anyone like that, even if they've got money.
I mean, if you think about it, okay, some of us, and I'll put myself in that category, we're fortunate enough to have assistance in getting a first car, right? But if you think about it, how different is that to when you do finally buy your own first car? You treat it completely differently.
You do. You
You'll
do.
hand wash it yourself or do anything that you can
exactly.
do to look after it. It feels different when you've bought something yourself.
Yeah, the harder you worked towards getting something, the more you appreciate it. The more you appreciate it.
Absolutely. And isn't it the greatest thing to know that you don't actually owe anybody any money? And I don't just mean
It's
family and
amazing.
friends. I mean, listen, I own the bank money. I mean, who doesn't, right?
Mhm.
For cars, for
Yeah.
houses, that kind of thing. But I don't owe anyone else. There's no person in the world like Prince Andrew and Fergie owe that woman in the Swiss Alps money. I don't owe anyone like that money. I go to sleep at night. I'm like, I don't owe you motherfuckers a damn thing. So I can wake up in the morning, say whatever I want, do whatever I want within reason. I mean, I still have to do a bunch of things. I'm responsible for myself, for my life, for my business, for my family and that kind of thing. But I don't owe you money. So you don't have any hold on me. If you grew up with a family who's given you everything, you kind of owe them. And you have to watch, because the hand that feeds you, you can't bite it. So
Yes.
you have a major disagreement with your dad one day and he cuts you off, and then you're useless because you've never done anything in your life. Now you have to go out and earn money. You watch those people, they flounder horribly.
It's like being in the unfortunate situation that a lot of women in this country are in, where you've married someone because that's what you do, and they're an asshole or they're abusing you, and you've got to be kind to them and live with it, because otherwise, if you're out, you won't be able to look after yourself financially.
Sure. Yep.
It's horrible.
That's a big problem. True. And Cunning Stunt says, you're quite rightly, working's not only about money, it's also about purpose. And that's exactly the point. It's like, you don't want to wake up in the morning and go to work just because you need the cash. Otherwise, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And a lot of things we do in life, we do for money, sure. But if you're just doing it for that, if that's the only reason you're doing it, that's terrible. Because then what is your purpose if the only thing you can do in life, you see it with these, like, Simpy West's favorite thing, the Real Housewives. These women they married these guys for money, obviously, so they have cash, but they just have no purpose. They spend their life like milling around, going to restaurants, meeting with their girlfriends, comparing who got a new this, who got a new that, but they don't really have a reason. And you think, wow, this is such a superficial life. You feel more sorry for them in some way than you do for a person who's really just hustling their backsides off. And you can see that they're loving it. They're getting a thrill out of the hustle. They're enjoying working. It's motivating. They wake up every morning with energy. Like some of these housewives tumble out of bed and they're like, who am I going to have coffee with today? What a boring life.
Well, that's the thing. You'd think with all this money that their mind space and their little worlds would become bigger, but they don't. They become smaller. They end up getting bored and starting to worry about the smallest things. And that's why they end up fighting with each other.
Yeah, bullshit, right. Yeah, exactly. There's bullshit to talk about and bullshit to argue about. So that's all they discuss. Anyway, we do have to get to some headlines. So let's do some of those quickly. And then we've got Dr. Hanan joining us this morning. He's up. He's at it today. So no slacker, our Dr. Hanan. Let's go to some of those stories in the news quickly and see what's happening there. So first thing, Eskom has suspended load shedding. Woohoo! But urges South Africans to use electricity sparingly. Of course, it's only going to be a while before they do this to us again. But they've just said, they've announced now, load shedding is finished for a little while, which I don't believe for a second. While we were able to,
not in our lifetimes.
No, we've been punched in the face too many times now. We know, never turn away and look in the other direction and actually start to appreciate your life, because Eskom's coming back to punch you in the face again. While we suspend load shedding at this point, they said, it is important to note that the generation system is still vulnerable to breakdowns and load shedding may be required, said Eskom, urging South Africans to continue using electricity sparingly, especially during uncertain times, whatever the hell that means, on the power system. They currently have 4,116. Sorry, they have 116 megawatt hours, I suppose, on planned maintenance, while another 12,000 megawatts of capacity is unavailable due to breakdowns. Eskom has thanked South Africans for their patience and understanding during load shedding. I still don't know how to figure like megawatt hours in my mind, so I'm just going to pretend. But let's just pretend we all know what I was talking about there, all right?
It's fine if we don't know. We're not the ones who offered up our services to Eskom. So
Yeah.
So here's a story that's very relevant, especially to today. A Joburg man is behind bars for presenting fraudulent sick notes to his employer. He was arrested in a joint operation on fraud charges after he presented a fraudulent medical certificate to his employer. The Health Professions Council says he was arrested for submitting this, and they conducted a joint operation with the Ekurhuleni East Crime Intelligence and Germiston Flying Squad, where the man was arrested.
That's a huge operation.
This is a big thing, right? During the operation, the man was found to have purchased a fraudulent medical certificate under the name of Dr. I.K. Mukere. During investigation, the man indicated his willingness to comply with the operation, from which they obviously went after this fake doctor as well. However, upon arrival in Tembisa, the man failed to cooperate further. He was arrested and taken into custody at the Primrose South Police Station, where he was charged with fraud. So obviously this is about fake certificates, but I wonder how many people got a fake certificate so they didn't have to go to work today so that they could have a long weekend. Or maybe not a fake certificate, but they said to their employer, I've got like an urgent thing I have to do. I have to apply for my ID book or whatever it is. So I've got to do that this Monday. Meanwhile, they're just trying to get the day off. I think
the part that shocks me is this seems like something that happens way more often. So this guy, I mean, this whole operation, I'm sure there were helicopters even above his house searching for him just because of this fake sick note. But it's more than
the sick note. It's more than the sick note. He actually went and got a medical license, like a certificate, making up a fake doctor. So that's where I now understand why the operation was so big. If it was just a faked sick note, and there were helicopters above my house, I'd certainly never try something like that. But no, he faked a whole doctor.
Oh, Leigh-Ann, I'm trying to make it scary for ordinary old us so that we don't lie about when we're sick. That's what I'm trying to tell. I tried to twist the story for our own purposes this morning to make it more exciting. Okay.
Yeah, well, Gareth, my doctor, Dr. Finkelwapper, says I won't be in on Monday.
Wow, I won't be in on Wednesday. My doctor, Uncle Waffles, said.
Dr. Uncle Waffles. Carl DeSantis says it's simple, Gareth. With Eskom, it's mega. What the fuck is going on there? That's any megawatt you need to know.
Eskom is a mess. I didn't have electricity for 3 days as well.
3 days?
3 entire days. So that was a story of my life for 3 days last week. And it was terrible. I actually had to keep going to Checkers to go buy food every single evening. Yeah. And I actually met a duo, a father and son at Checkers, who were actually shopping for braai meat. And I met them by the salad section and started chatting. It was, the chats were happening. And I went home with them. It was fun. So
who does
you
that?
Went home. You went home with a family?
Yes, I did. It was lots of fun. They had a braai. Met them right there at Checkers.
So you didn't know them before this at all, and you ended up having a braai with them?
Yeah, I just met them there by the salad bar.
Jesus, look at you. You got to teach the rest of us. Listen, Mash, I mean, we're laughing at you, but actually I think a lot of people would be quite impressed with that. Like you're obviously really, really socially very adept. You know how to, woo people and talk to them and impress them. And they liked you so much they invited you to a braai.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, the introvert in me is very jealous.
The extrovert in you might be interested in this. Tiffany's, the jeweler, has sold out of custom CryptoPunk NFT pendants for 50 grand each. Just take a look at this. This is the pendant, $50,000 US dollars. That's what it looks like. All right, now I'll give you a
Yeah.
close up. That
Those are the CryptoPunks, yeah.
that little CryptoPunk NFT pendant, $50,000. They're sold out, all gone. Now I don't know if that's great. I mean, I must tell you, like for $50,000, I think you could do a bit better,
You can do much better for that much.
right? They sold
Like
out.
get a
of it.
Rolex.
You get a whatever. $50,000. You can take your pick. I'll walk you into any jeweler in this country, and you'll be able to have your pick of whatever you want. Someone spent $50,000 on that. I think that's outrageous. But then again, we've discussed this before. You know, even on Collectomania, for someone who wants it, they're going to pay whatever the price is. And there's someone somewhere in the world who'll pay for all of this dumb stuff. All right, it is time for Dr. Hanan Bushkin. He is our renowned psychologist. He's also the head of the Anxiety and Trauma Clinic in Johannesburg. And we've got a Q&A session with him this morning, which is all up to you. If you've got an issue, you can bring it up now in the questions. Dr. Hanan will just handle it like he does on the fly. He's got answers to questions. If you've got a problem, here's your opportunity for some free therapy. And you don't even have to appear on the show. You can just type up a message in the comments right now, and we'll let Dr. Hanan deal with you. Hey, Doc, how are you?
How are you doing, guys? I'm well.
Hey.
Awesome. So first of all, is it okay? I'm going to start with mine. Is it okay for us to feel hard done by that we're working today and everybody else is taking a public holiday, even though tomorrow is the public holiday? What is this thing with humans and laziness? Like, are we all built with this default setting to do as little as possible if no one's looking? Like, are we all lazy when the lights go off? Are we all lazy when we're not at work? And is it okay to feel that you're lazy and kind of a little bit resentful when you have to work like we are today?
You know what it is. Adults have this incredible ability to compare their lives to how it should be, how it could have been with the alternative. Children can't do that. And that's why, by the way, children fared much better during COVID, because children didn't have the ability, or they don't have the ability to go, well, my life could have been different if I didn't wear a mask. My life could have been different if I could travel. My life could have been different if I didn't go into lockdown. Adults struggled a lot because adults went, well, if I didn't go into lockdown, I could have traveled, I could have done X, Y, and Z, I would have been wealthier, I would have been more connected, or whatever it is. So the comparison of where I am versus where I could have been if I wasn't in this position is what creates the suffering. The trick is to really stick to your lane. Marry the position that you're in. In other words, don't compare yourself to somebody else's position, or don't compare yourself even to your own position or your own alternative position. You've got to marry what's in front of you.
Oh, okay. Well, Doc, that's easier said than done, but I hear you. And I suppose that's what makes certain people happier and other people more miserable. All right, so let's just talk about some of the things that people are worried about. And I do at some other point, I don't think today's the day for it, but I want us eventually to get to Mash and deal with his serial dating. Because even Sanele says here, can Dr. Hanan deal with Mash's behavior with strangers? I'll get him in the serial killer's home one day. It'll get him in the serial killer's home one day. So, I mean, how much friend... I think that's mean. Mash is just one of those people who's very social. He's very, like I said, adept just a moment ago. He's able to make friends instantly. It's a social skill. And someone like Sanele, or maybe one or two of the other people in the comments who think that Mash is going to end up the victim of a serial killer one day, they're just jealous of his ability to make friends immediately. We'll deal with his dating, as I said, at another time. But it is incredible how some people have a social skill and an ability to just make friends instantly. They're very, very capable. They're chatty. They're fun. They've got a nice personality. This is something that Mash is clearly, it's an advantage, right? That's a superpower. It's not a thing to be embarrassed about.
For sure. You know, we got to realize one very important thing, that people are different, and some people are more introverted, other people more extroverted, other people more insightful, other people more shallow, other people can adapt really easily to situations, other people not so much. Which one's better? Well, it depends. It depends on your environment. Nobody's bigger than their environment. If you take the most social person and you put them in an environment where they don't interact with anybody, they will fall apart. If you take a very insular person and you put them in a social environment, they will fall apart. Nobody's bigger than their environment. You put yourself in a particular environment, you got to make sure that it suits the character that you are. And the analogy that I usually give is take the most spec'd up Ferrari, A to Z, the most incredible Ferrari you've ever seen, and let it race on the off-road track. Within 3 minutes, it falls apart. But in this Ferrari, its self-esteem is going to go to zero within 2 seconds. Why? It's the most spec'd up Ferrari. It's because you put it in the wrong lane. If you put yourself in the wrong lane that doesn't resonate with your character, you will fall apart. The environment is big. That's why I say to people, and this is quite, people open their eyes wide when I say this. I say change doesn't start from within. All these terrible pop psychology books will say change starts from within. Not at all. Change starts externally. The environment shapes you. If I wanted to become a clown, I just got to surround myself with a group of clowns, and 6 months later, I become that. If I wanted to become a drug addict, it's very simple. Just surround myself with people that reward that, and 6 months later, I become that. The trick is to put yourself in an environment that shapes you. So people will say, well, is it possible to rebel? Well, then you break. If the Ferrari rebels against the off-road track, it breaks. So the change doesn't start from within. Change starts from without, but the trick is really to adjust the environment to suit your personality, not the other way around.
So you're saying Mash is a Ferrari because he's smiling now. All right, we've got a couple of questions. So if you've got something for Dr. Hanan, let's hear about it. Dr. J.B. Peterson says that being naive is a real human flaw. What do you think of naivety? I mean, is it a personality characteristic, or is it something that comes from ignorance? What is naivety in your book, Doc?
Yeah, so I'll say something quite interesting as well about naivety. So first of all, if you had to write the most comprehensive personality test that's ever been devised on planet Earth, a 1 million question questionnaire, it would naturally spit out a result, right? It would tell you this, mature, you're this intelligent, you're this introverted, you're this extroverted, you're this insightful. But in reality, nothing could be further from the truth, because in reality, we're different in different environments. In some environments, I'm mature, other environments, I'm immature. Some environments, I'm introverted, other environments, extroverted. Some environments, insightful, some environments, not so much. So who am I really, in essence? The truth is, I'm in essence that, and a million things in between. And the trick is really for human beings is to be able to adapt your personality to the environment, even though I said the environment really dictates who you are. So naivety is a very childlike quality. It's accepting, the moment, not really living in the what ifs. So that's what children do really well. They don't live in the what ifs. They just marry themselves to the moment. The opposite of naivety is, I wonder what's behind this. I wonder what your ulterior motives are. I wonder what's going to happen 3 steps down the line. And again, which quality is better? It depends on the situation, depends on the environment that you're in. If you're being playful with your partner, naivety is incredible. If you're being playful with your friends or your children, naivety is incredible. If you're on holiday and you don't have to think 4 steps down the line, naivety is amazing. As a matter of fact, the opposite will just destroy the moment. So again, be aware that naivety, any quality that you possess or any skill set that you have is relevant for a particular environment, not as a standard go-to.
Well, is this why people, and I mean, I used to struggle with this even, people expect you to be a certain kind of person all the time. You have to be consistent, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? It's like we all actually have a bunch of different things going on in our heads and our personalities all the time. And you aren't ever just that one thing. And if you were completely consistent, you'd be a robot, right?
It's impossible. You'd break. You can't be. If I was the same with my wife as I was with my kids, as I was with my patients, as I was with my, my fun friends, as I was with my serious friends, I'd never adapt. I'd never adjust. I'd never be able to cope. I have to be able to adapt and adjust to the situation that I'm in order to survive. The human brain is incredibly adaptive. We develop incredible skill sets. And to your point, the moment you stick to one thing, this is who I am. And that's why I, for the most part, I disagree with these personality tests that box you. They say you are extroverted, you are,
Right.
you know, you are deep, you are this.
It seems simplistic. It's like, hang on, you're not taking into consideration all of this and that.
Absolutely.
I have an example that happened just this weekend. Being with family, a family member I hadn't seen in a while. We were in an intimate setting. There were about 16 of us. And I was being how I am in that scenario with my family. And she said, you know what you should do is stand-up comedy. But if you put me on a stage in front of thousands of people, I'm not going to be the same person as I am in that room.
No,
You're going to have to prescribe something pretty hectic to the point of me just not being able to take my clothes off for me to be relaxed enough to be who I am here, out there.
For sure. How many comedians, I mean, think about like even Robin Williams comes to mind. How many comedians just expected to just be happy and jokey and always be in good spirit? But that's not human nature. And the moment you box yourself and this is who I am, regardless of this situation, you will fall apart. You don't have to be boxed. And make sure, by the way, that you don't box yourself. People will box you because people like predictability. So I want to see a person in a particular way, and that's the only thing. So if I meet a comedian as an example, I want them to be funny. I want them to laugh. I want them to tell me a joke. I want to box them, and which is quite normal, but it's the person's responsibility to not be boxed.
All right. Well, let's see what other questions we've got here, because I think these are all this is fascinating stuff, and it's a lot more general. When we understand we shouldn't live up to other people's expectations, is that the first lesson? A couple of people saying change from okay, I like this. Ethan says change from the environment versus change from within. I'm struggling to understand Dr. Hanan's point on this topic. So just maybe go over that again so that Ethan can see what you're on about here. He doesn't understand why. If you change from within, as pop psychology and all these little self-help books tell you, it's not the real thing. The real thing is what as you said, the environment that you immerse yourself in.
For sure. So let me give Ethan an example. So again, let's just go back to the silly example of clowns. If I surround myself with just clowns for 6 months, what the group will naturally do is they will reward me for clownish behavior, and they will punish me for any other patterns or any other behaviors that don't subscribe to their norm. So very slowly, I will be chiseled into being informing in that environment. Suddenly I'll wear a little bit, like that meme with a clown. He puts a little bit of makeup and then he puts it in the funny hair. And I don't know if you've seen it, like the transition into a real clown. So that happens really, really slowly. Because again, the group rewards behavior that conforms and they reject behavior that doesn't conform to the group. So is an example. So again, so think about the school that you go to. That's your environment and that shapes you. Think about the friends that you have. That's your environment and that's what shapes you. Think about the work that you have. That's your environment and that's what shapes you. And people will say, no, but Hanan, I know people who were in a terrible environment and they've transcended it and moved into a different environment. And my answer is exactly. They've moved into a different environment. Nobody can ever succeed when the environment is limiting. So to Ethan, beware of your environment. What does environment mean? Environment is anything external to you. So it could be your career, it could be your financial stability, it could be family, friends, romantic. Where you spend 8 hours or 10 hours or 16 hours of your day, that is your environment. And ask yourself, when I look at my environment, is it what I want to become? Because that is what you will become. If you surround yourself with unhealthy people, whether it's physically or mentally or psychologically, you will become that. So ask yourself, Ethan, am I surrounding myself with the environment? When I look at that environment, is that what I want to become? Because whether you want to, that clown meme, you will become it whether you want to or not.
All right. Well, I'm afraid. I mean, this thing's gone. I don't know why, but it feels like we've spent 2 minutes talking, but we're already out of time, Doc. So I suppose this happens with you and your patients all the time. They're like, "Oh, but I've just got here, and now we're finishing," and it's like, "What? My time's up." So that's how it goes. Sorry, we're all out of time already. We'll have to do another one of these Q&As soon with Dr. Hanan. Also, this morning we've got something new coming up, which I'll tell you about in the next hour. And Leigh-Ann and Mash are with us to keep us company through the course of the morning. I hope you're off to a good start. Doc, we'll see you in a week.
See you then. Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Bye, Doc.
Cheers, Dr. Hanan. All right. So coming up, Leigh-Ann, Mash, and I have got lots for you. We've got markets.com, a brand new Markets Monday, which starts today.
Ooh.
Very excited about that. Yes, we've been promising since Anthea left us all those years ago with the money updates every morning. People have been saying, well, how can we find out about what's going on with our money? How can we decide better what to do with it? Obviously, you can listen to a lot of people, but we want someone we can trust, someone we can talk to every week, someone we can get some info from. That's what we're going to start this Monday, and we'll start it today. So you're just in time for that. Even if you woke up this morning thinking, I'm the only one who's working. I'm the only one who had to get up and do things. Don't panic. You're not the only one. And all the people who matter are here with us this morning, so we can give them some good advice and have some fun and talk some nonsense. All of that and more still to come. Stick around, cliffcentral.com. It is Monday.
This week on the AutoTrader podcast. Because at least with the private sale, or the private buy, should I say, let's not say private sale, the private buy, you get to drive the car. You might, the private seller might let you take the car to a place that does a condition report like we spoke about last week. The private seller might give you more information about the car, give you its access to its service history via the OEM, and more information than you could ever get. So that's why I say the private buy is a better buy than the auction. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
That's right. And you can get the AutoTrader podcast on cliffcentral.com. Brand new episodes every single Monday. And it's always chock full of useful information. I don't know if you've noticed, but really, George is dispensing very, very valuable info every single week on that show. It's awesome stuff. And if you haven't
Yes.
listened to it before, it is good to do, and you must check it out ASAP. Alrighty. So a few things we we didn't get time for in the beginning, but apparently Mash is ready to tell us why he was gallivanting around his complex in a gown the other day. This came up. I overheard him talking in the office on Tuesday, and we'd already had our show on Monday with Mash, and he hadn't told us all about this. Is it normal to be gallivanting around in your gown? Remember, we had that story not so long ago about how Spa was trying to convince people not to go out in their gown, not to come and shop in their gown and slippers. They actually had a problem. A lot of people were doing this. It became a bit of a trend. Are you one of those people, Mash? Is that what we're talking about here?
No, I am not one of those people. I do not leave the complex
Really?
in my gown. I do not go to the
You
shops
promise?
in my gown. I promise I do not do that. But I do walk around inside the complex in my gown. I go to the dustbins in my gown. I go see friends in my gown.
Okay.
Not really friends, more like a friend. But
Okay.
yeah, only in the complex. I do not leave the complex in my pajamas. I would never do that. But also, I mean, back to the gown story then. Do you have to come clean?
Yeah,
So
well,
I did
mean,
actually.
you can tell us whatever you want here. I don't know any detail. All I did was overhear you talking about walking around in your gown, and Simpiwe thought it was unacceptable behavior. She was laughing at you, saying, "Well, if you behave like that, you're going to get a certain kind of treatment from people."
So what Simpio was referring to is so remember I told you guys about the friend of mine in my complex who actually touched my thigh?
Yes.
Yes. So I was actually going to pay that friend a visit. And and thing is, 2 weeks ago I was sick. I did tell you guys this. I was pretty sick. So I went to this friend's place, and the whole point of this was to actually discuss what happened, because I hadn't seen this friend of mine since then, since they actually touched my thigh. So I actually went there after taking my bath. I was pretty sick. I just took my meds as well. And I was just in my gown. Just in my gown. So I went to this friend's place, and
so no pajamas underneath.
Nothing. So I went
You
to
had
this
nothing
friend's
else
place.
on. You had no other clothes on. It was just the gown.
It was just the gown. I went to this friend's place,
really?
and as soon as I got to the door, they're like, "Oh, hi, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." So I just want to chat quickly. Yeah, you want to chat? They're like, "Yeah, come to my bedroom." And I'm like, "Huh? Bedroom to talk? Huh? Okay." So cool. I go to their bedroom and we start chatting, and I actually basically friend zoned them, sitting right there in their room. I was like, "Yeah, so I just want this friendship to work, blah blah blah." And they started becoming a bit, excited. But I was like, "What's going on? What are you doing?"
Mash, you're in a gown. I mean, like, what did you really expect to happen here?
Yeah, like if
in
you're
my
going
defense,
to have a
I was sick.
In your defense, you're wearing a gown, and this person is going to get all the wrong signals. Now, I suddenly understand why Simpiwe was talking. Now I get why Simpiwe was like laughing at you and shouting at you the other day. Okay, so Mash, I think you have a different idea to what most of us have about certain kinds of signals that you're sending. Let's just put it that way. Now, I'm not going to criticize you. I don't know. You might just be a far more sociable, friendly, kind of affable personality. That's amazing. It's great. That's why you can end up meeting people at the shops and then you get invited to their braai. I think that's amazing. It's a personality skill. It's something a lot of people don't have. Well done to you for that. But Mash, you're sending the wrong signals to this person if you don't want them to hit on you, and you arrive at their house in a gown.
Exactly. So I mean, imagine I'm just putting myself in that situation. Imagine I had an awkward situation where someone had touched my thigh. And then when I went to go and speak to them about it, I pitched up in a gown with nothing underneath.
Yeah,
they'd
come
be like,
on, man.
"Whoa, I know what she's here for."
Yes, exactly. This person was, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, it's none of our business. But if this person was under the impression that you were just coming over to discuss something where you thought that maybe they'd, because as I recall, maybe we just need to remind people here. So this person had made an inappropriate advance on you. You weren't interested in them. They were clearly interested in you. You pitch up in the gown. What do you think they're going to think about that? You didn't cross your mind to go, well, maybe I should put, and you had nothing on under the gown.
Yeah, there's nothing. But as I said, in my defense,
No, you
I
can't
was
be this
pretty
naive.
sick. I was
Yeah, but
pretty
so-
sick. I was sniffling at the sniffles
but
and all of that. That's not
a
attractive. So in my
A runny
Mash.
nose doesn't stop you from putting on pants and a top.
Exactly.
But I expected
Oh.
this to be a very quick chat, and then I was gonna go home and sleep.
So what happened? All right. So now you're basically, this person is now trying to get you into their bedroom, which, I mean, according to
Yeah.
the signals, you seem like you might be in the mood for that, because you're there in your gown. They're like, wow, obviously I got the right idea last time. This guy's definitely keen for something, because look, he's in his gown and everything.
No, so I went to the bedroom, and then I just basically straight up told them that, yeah, so for this friendship to work, I'm gonna need you to, stop being so like, touchy and weird, because this is very uncomfortable for me.
Says
So
you with your tackle hanging out of your gown. Don't be
Oh,
weird,
Mash.
okay?
Oh, Mash. Yeah. Don't be weird. Don't pay any attention to what's hanging out from the bottom of my gown here. Jesus. I can't believe you. And you wonder why
You're not
these
going to
things
win
happen
this
to you.
one.
No. No,
but
Mash.
it
These
was,
things are not
it was
happening.
supposed to be
These things are not happening to you by mistake, I'm afraid. I hate to be the one to have to tell you.
And that's what Simpu and Dory were telling me. They were yelling at me basically in the office, telling me that
I heard. That's
why
why
am I
I was sitting in
surprised?
my office and overheard it. It wasn't like I was eavesdropping. It was loud.
Yeah, they were like basically reprimanding me, telling me, what the hell did you expect going there in just your gown? What the hell did you expect? But
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't think that far. I didn't think. Maybe I'm just naive.
Traveling Ninja Turtle says, why didn't you just phone them? Why see them in person anyway? Oh, that's a good
Because you don't
question.
friend zone people over the phone, especially when they
Well,
live in your complex.
That's very nice of you, but I think maybe you're too nice there. Leigh-Ann,
Yeah, that was a bit
any
too
advice
nice.
on that one?
My case is closed.
You're horrified.
Yeah, sorry, Mash. You're not gonna win this one.
Yeah, my gown is closed.
I'm glad your gown is closed.
Well, it wasn't clearly. I mean, did any other advances happen after that? Did you resolve the situation amicably from that point on? Is everything sorted now?
Yeah, as soon as I got there were advances. As soon as I got to the bedroom, but of course I did like push back and say, what are you doing? I came here to actually friend zone you.
Did you smack their hand away?
I smacked their hand and I said, I actually came here to friend zone you. I actually came here to reestablish exactly where we're standing, because it seems like
now,
you've lost your footing.
It's sorted. Are you happy now that you've resolved the issue? Well,
I'm
in
very
that
happy.
case, I mean, maybe we should just give credit where it's due here, Leigh-Ann. Clearly, this guy is, Mash is confident enough to be able to pull this off satisfactorily. Huh?
Maybe we can solve world peace in our gowns.
Just give Mash the job. Yeah, let him deal with it.
Yes,
Clearly he
give
knows
me
what
that
he's doing.
job. Mhm.
Sure. I mean, maybe we're just we're going after the wrong thing here. We're just applying our very strange morality to his situation. Maybe there's we could do better. We could do like he does. Walk around in our gowns, fixing situations, friend zoning people the proper way, right?
The correct way. Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with Jay says, "Be honest. Were you wanting something?
No, nobody was wanting nothing here. I wasn't wanting anything. Oh, if something, if by that you mean friendship, yeah. That's absolutely true. Friendship.
Congo Chris says, imagine Mash sitting on your bed telling you that he really wants things to work out, and his tolly is hanging out at the bottom of his nightie. See, Mash, I'm afraid you bring these things up. Everyone's going to have an opinion now.
But I
Wow.
guess I'm used to it. I'm used to it now. But
Well, I
yeah.
appreciate you sharing it with us. I mean, this is the best stuff when we get to hear the actual stories of what's going on. All right, here's a photograph of the closest star to our sun, or is it? All right, are you ready? Leigh-Ann found this picture. Here's a photo of either this is Proxima Centauri or it's something else. You tell us, what is this? Ooh, is that the closest sun to Earth?
So
Leigh-Ann,
red.
is that what that is? Proxima Centauri?
All of this has come about since the whole James Webb telescope thing. Since
Yes,
this
'cause now we
telescope's
can
been
see
in use, now we can see everything in a
incredible
different
stuff.
light.
Absolutely.
And it was actually a French scientist who tweeted this picture. And he said, "Isn't this just amazing? This is from the James Webb Space Telescope." And it's, as you said, Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our sun. He said, "This level of detail, a new world is revealed every day," and sent this to his more than 90,000 followers. However, he's now admitted that this glowing celestial body shown in the picture is in fact nothing more than a slice of Spanish chorizo sausage.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
There you go. So he obviously did this as a joke, guys.
So was that neighbor of yours in the complex also thinking it was a chorizo sausage? Oh my gosh.
But now there's been this big lashing out on Twitter saying, "You're a trusted scientist. We have people battling to believe us as it is, and now you're putting out this nonsense. We're not going to be taken seriously as scientists." But I personally think it was a scientist's joke. I mean, I think that's pretty funny. But now he's had to come out, of course, and apologize to everyone.
Oh God! Like, apologize to who? What happened to our sense of humor? I mean, like a chorizo sausage joke about Proxima Centauri. It's funny. I mean, even to the most boring scientist in the world, that's bound to be funny, right? Come on. What's wrong with people?
And I think he was also he mentioned he's also trying to raise a point about how stupid social media users can be and believing everything that they see. So I think it was quite clever, actually.
It's brilliant. I like this because it makes a mockery of all these people who are also like, "Oh my God, the scientists are always serious." No, they're not. Scientists also joke and talk nonsense to each other. And if that's a chorizo sausage, good for him. I had no idea that Proxima Centauri even looked like a chorizo sausage. Now you know.
Well, I'm just glad that he's kept the post up, because I did go and check and I thought, please tell me you didn't take it down because there were so many people angry with you. But he hasn't. He's kept it up.
Yes, he didn't fold.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I've got to mention people liking and subscribing this morning, because otherwise I get into trouble. So please like and subscribe, and that also gives me an opening to talk about kitchen appliances. We've discussed the air fryer ad nauseum, which is why we talk about like and subscribe whenever we talk about it. But Mash has found a new device that he's in love with for the kitchen. And listen, if I didn't hear these things from people on the show, I'd never know they existed. I mean, just because of Lebang, I went and bought an air fryer, and I'm still figuring out how the whole thing works. It's not that complicated, but I'm still figuring it out. So Mash, you found something else that you love.
Yes, so this is actually an appliance I've had for quite some time. So it is a stick blender. I've had a stick blender for quite some time. I bought it specifically just to do like one specific recipe. But then I just never used it again for many years, actually.
What do you make with a stick blender?
So recently I started making my own mayonnaise. I started making my own mayonnaise, my own tomato sauce, all my own sauces, my own Thousand Island sauce. I'm making my own sauces and I'm living it up. And it has changed my life. It has changed my life completely. I even posted a video of myself actually making this mayonnaise, and people were so shocked. They're like, it's that easy. It is that easy. And there's so many things that you keep spending money on, sauces especially, that you can make yourself at home. It is so easy.
Wow.
It's just a hand stick blender.
It's all about the emulsifying when it comes to making mayonnaise. And that's combining the eggs and oil. Am I right?
Yes, it is. And
Yes.
it is so freaking simple. I mean, people are mostly shocked about the amount of egg and the amount of oil and just generally the process of making mayonnaise. They were shocked that it's not actually cooked. There's no milk in it. But it's that simple. Just get a
Oh,
stick
very
blender
impressive.
and it changes your
Yep.
life. Changes your life.
Very impressive. All right, good. You see, we're learning new things, and I'm absolutely sure that there are plenty of other kitchen appliances we will discover over the course of the next few weeks and learn to use. Let's all learn together. It's like suddenly it's becoming a cooking show.
On that note, here's a little warning with stick blenders. Mash, I'm presuming it has a fast-moving metal blade in the bottom.
Yes, it does.
And a friend of mine had made the big mistake, the futile mistake, fatal mistake almost.
Futile or fatal?
Futile, of putting her finger in to the blade section
Oh, Jesus.
to scoop out some of the mayonnaise.
Oh!
But it was still plugged in and her thumb was still on the button.
Oh!
Why did she do that? Why did she do that?
Jesus.
It was just a strange moment that she put her finger in to scrape some of the mayo out and her thumb was still on the button. So yeah, she almost lost the whole tip of her finger. So just be careful of that, I'd say,
Jesus,
friends.
That's awful. Yeah.
Why would you put your finger there?
Well, I mean, Mash, why would you even buy a stick blender if you don't know the first thing about mayonnaise? Some people do dumb stuff. It happens. It's unbelievable. Ethan says from sausage to making mayonnaise. Jesus, guys. Yeah, exactly. Carl is onto this Mash story. He says, Mash would love a stick blender. He pitched up there at his neighbor with his stick blender out, ready to make mayonnaise.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't remember that day, Leigh-Ann, that I brought a whole bunch of shit from my kitchen in and you guys told me what it all was. Because when I bought my first flat in straight out of like working for myself for a while, I'd moved out of my parents' house. It was early 20s. And I bought this flat, and I bought the flat with everything in it because the owner needed to go overseas or whatever, and they were selling it. And I thought, well, there's some of this furniture I'll replace, but let me buy the whole lot because it's in the price of the place. And I'll see what the guy had. A well kitted out kitchen. He had some nice stuff there. So I thought, yeah, I'll buy it all. It was like an extra, I don't know, 50, 60 grand. It wasn't a lot at the time. And I thought, well, now I've got a kitted out kitchen. I can just move straight in, which I did. And there was a whole lot of stuff in that kitchen I didn't understand at all. There was stuff in the drawers that I didn't know what any of these implements were. So I brought it in one day to the show. And between Leigh-Ann and the rest of the team, they told me what all this stuff was. I had no idea. I was genuinely baffled by some of these things that I had. I said to them, what do you use this for? And it was basic stuff. Like there was a garlic crusher. Now, I've never used anything like that in my life. I still have that garlic crusher. It's never been used. You got to be careful that you don't go buy shit that you're never going to use. Like, I understand that you're into the stick blender now, but you've got to be honest with us, Mash. And if we're still doing the show in like 3 years' time, you've got to tell us honestly if you're still using that stick blender. Because I know people whose kitchens are full. They are chock full of stuff that they no longer use. That has been standing around, taking up space, doesn't get used, never gets taken out of the cupboards, dusty as hell, probably doesn't even work anymore. And, you bought it because you saw it in a TV ad once. That happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, I do get that. And there are these gimmicks that go around. But a stick blender is something you'll keep forever and use forever. It's fantastic for when you made soup in a pot and you want to blend the soup, stick that right in there. Any sort of sauce that needs to be thin.
Stick it right in there. So she says.
Stick it right in there.
All right.
Maybe I have some secret, fetish. Maybe I want a stick blender in the bedroom as well.
You want a stick blender. Just tell the truth, Leigh-Ann. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's fine. Everybody has their thing.
Fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can
All
make
right.
so many
Keep the
things
stick
with this
blender.
thing. Yeah.
All right. So let's play this game next Monday. You bring an item from the kitchen that you think will confuse the rest of us, and you can show it off. But you got to take a picture of it so we can see it in detail and put it up on the screen. But then also have the actual thing with you, because whoever gets the most points out of, let's say, 3, you bring 3, I bring 3, Mash brings 3 in the end, and we see who gets the highest score, and then that person obviously can go around telling everybody that they are the king or queen of the kitchen. And obviously I'm going to lose, but we'll see how much I lose by. Try to find the most confusing looking things as well, whether it's an electronic appliance, whether it's an implement. There's got to be something in your kitchen that you think is going to confuse other people. Bring it. Let's see what it is.
Deal.
And these days they are
All
making
right.
new machines for everything. I saw this thing the other day that peels an orange for you. You stick it into this device, and then the device switches on and it goes around it. Actually peels the orange for you.
Why would you want that, though?
I don't know. I mean, some people will spend money on this. Did
Actually
Gareth
reminds
give his... Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it reminds me of a friend of mine, actually. I remember in high school, he was mad because his mother didn't pay school fees, and the school was actually hounding him and giving him letters to give to his parents. And he was so angry. I was like, what's going on? He's like, my damn mother used my school fees money to buy a machine that peels apples. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So that's what that reminds me of.
It's an expensive apple peeling machine that covered the school fees.
I still haven't seen that machine to this day.
Yeah, I want to know what these things are. So it's always fun. You can make fun of me next week on the show. Let's remember to do that. So 3 items from your kitchen that you think. It even could be like a knife with a specific purpose, or something like that. You guys would know more about this than me. Ethan wants to know, did Gareth already give his opinion on Saturday's fantastic rugby game? I said 2 sentences. I don't know the first thing about rugby. If you're expecting me to say something insightful about a rugby match, you're wasting your time. I have no idea. Congo Chris says, I was still using my Twister Pro from Verimark up to this year when I got a NutriBullet. Congo Chris, these companies see you coming. They are ready for you, man. They've already lined up next year's product line for Congo Chris. Just my sister and her boyfriend, I think that they've got a Take-A-Lot addiction. They get
really?
a box delivered to their house every single week. There's something there. And it's not stupid stuff. It's stuff they need. But they are absolutely addicted to that site. In fact, they've now turned their entire gift-giving exercise to vouchers from these online stores too. So they not only are addicted themselves, they're also trying to get the rest of us addicted. That's a level above.
Sounds like a cult.
And it is quite addictive. It's not in Take-A-Lot are really addicted.
Carl says, and I'm worried about this, says, I have the most confusing kitchen appliance. If you've never seen it, you'll have no clue. We'll send pics. Now I'm a little bit worried about what kind of pics we can receive, but okay. Comment at cliffcentral.com. Go for it. I mean, contact at cliffcentral.com. Ethan says, a NutriBullet is the most impressive appliance I've encountered in the kitchen since the kettle. Well, some people love those things. I've got one of them. I hardly ever use it. I did pull it out the other day. I took it out of the cupboard the other day, and I cleaned all the stuff, and I made like a smoothie, and then I made another one the next day, and then by day 4 it had lost its shine, and I was like, okay, back in the cupboard for you. I'm afraid that's what happens, right?
That's exactly what happens.
Ruth says, I'm going to do some baking today. I've been persuaded. You see, we just by talking about this stuff, now we've got Ruth all excited about baking. Dear Linda says, I'm not fooled into buying all those crazy machines. You probably use them once. That's what I was saying. Exactly. I'm with dear Linda on this. I just got the Stanley thermos from Take-A-Lot. It's awesome. You only need to boil the kettle once a day. What is that? Sounds like a winner. That sounds like something we should all have.
Wow.
Vincent says, I have a juicer, that I'll give away today. I bought it 4 years ago and I've never used the damn thing. See? Never used.
Does anyone use
See, it's-
juices?
Well, this is, I don't want to give away too much for next week, but it's important as to whether it's a centrifugal juicer or if it's the other type. I don't know what the technical name for it is, but makes a big difference. We'll talk about that.
Oh, really? Oh, ooh. No, I didn't even know there was more than one kind of juicer. So I'm already losing next week. I can see it's going to be horribly embarrassing. I got that Twister Pro in the 90s, says Congo Chris.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. Appliances are going backwards a little bit. So, you know, the movement was from the Twister Pro to the NutriBullet. But I'm seeing more and more things, especially from the Far East, little kitchen gadgets. So much plastic. But, and that cheap looking plastic too.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of these things that you have to mechanically pull instead of switching on or anything.
Well, because of electricity, that's what it is. It's because we can't trust ESCOM anymore, so people are like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
better we get the mechanical
little
one. I'm telling you
gadgets.
that. Oh.
You pull things and it crushes the garlic for you or peels the garlic. A lot of egg cutting implements that make your egg look cute. Another machine that you also pull, which has a raw egg inside and will mix the white and the yellow completely.
Yeah, I saw one of
can-
those on Instagram this weekend. You know how the ads
Yeah.
pop up? And there's basically
And
these people that they put a little egg in a thing and then they turn a handle and it mixes the yolk and the albumin inside the egg before you even open it. All right, you see, I can't even
so
escape
odd.
this stuff. It is weird, right? But people love this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all happening.
Can I talk about something quickly that I'm annoyed about, because we are going to get to a new discussion in a moment or two. This is going to be really exciting for I think a lot of us. We've been talking about what you should do with your money, and twice a month on the show we will bring you something called Market Mondays with markets.com. I'm very excited about that. But before we get to that, I got an email over the weekend from one of the couriers that someone had sent me a gift from America. It's someone who we had on the show. Remember that guy who we had on with that lockdown board game that he's invented? And he was telling us about how, you know, during lockdown, he decided he'd make a board game, and it's all about kind of, you know, lockdown and all that stuff. So I was excited to receive this from this friend of mine in America, and he'd packaged it. He got it with a courier, sent it here. So it is sitting in a warehouse in Joburg at the moment, waiting for me. And apparently SARS have got involved. So, you know, customs, whenever anything comes into the country, customs expect you to pay a certain duty. Now, I didn't import a thing. It's a gift someone has sent me. So I'm not bringing in goods to sell. And I'm also not bringing in goods that I've bought. So it's a gift. Guess what SARS want to charge me to release this game from the couriers?
How much?
3,200 Rand. So I must, in order to get the gift that this person is out of the kindness of their heart, they have given me the gift for free. It's something that he made for free. He's selling them, but he's giving me this one for free. He's also paid the courier in America to get it to me. And SARS want 3,200 Rand for it. I'm like, hang on a second. Where does the government have any kind of role in me having this game? Where do they? How are they involved in it? 3.5 grand. I'm not paying it. So I've said no. I'm sorry. I'm not. You can keep the game. And I sent a very rude note to SARS at the same time. So I'm hoping they get it.
So annoying.
Of course they will. Isn't that irritating? Like someone sends you something for nothing, for free, out of the kindness of their heart. They also then pay for a courier because you can't trust the South African Post Service, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
they
I mean,
send
that's
it
like
here.
us having
It
to
arrives here, and
pay.
then SARS wants to take some money off of you. It's ridiculous.
It's like government wanting to tax us on solar energy. It's
Right.
absolute, pardon the pun,
That'll never
pandemic
make
robbery.
sense to me.
So you talk about like ordering stuff on these online shopping sites, and that's one thing. But if you actually want to get a gift from a friend overseas, that's ridiculous. SARS, the biggest theft syndicate, says Steve.
Yes.
SARS is ripping people. Carl says SARS can go and F themselves. Hoy in the same bin as your TV license. Molly says, send it back, unfortunately. He should have said gift, no commercial value. Well, I'm
and
sure
Gareth, Gareth, you're making me very nervous now, because I also have a package at the moment that's sitting at the post office, and it's from California. So I'm actually very nervous because it's been sitting there for about 2 months now. I have to go collect it, but I'm scared of the tax they're going to charge me as soon as I get there.
Oh yeah.
I'm so terrified.
No, they're trying to make every cent they can out of you now. So I'm blown away by the fact that 3,200 rand. I mean, the gift, it didn't cost. He's not even selling it near at that price. And this guy's like, so I copied him on my reply as well. I'm like, just so you know, this is our SARS, our South African Revenue Service, that's trying to rip me off. It is, right? Anyway, all right. So as I said, we've got an exciting new feature coming up in a moment or two, Market Mondays with markets.com. And what's cool about this is that we get to hear about what's going on with people's money, where we can figure out what the stock markets are like, what kinds of clients markets.com usually have, what they offer, where they're based, all that kind of stuff, because I think we're all looking for ways to make our money work for us. And we'll be speaking to Solomon from markets.com in a moment or two. We've got lots of good stuff to talk to him about. Beth says SARS has got a lot worse with customs excise since lockdown. Oh, 2 months. They're talking about your package there at at the post office, Mash. It's gone if it was the post office. That depends. Some of them are pretty good. I mean, I told you about Busi, who was at the post office up the road from Cliff Central, and she always used to, like, she ran that place pretty damn well, and she would always let me know when there was a package there for me and that kind of thing. And she did this for a lot of people, evidently. So there are good people in there. It's just it's getting to the post office that's often the problem.
For me, it's the post office in Springs, so I have to go check it out.
Okay. Try ordering specialized electronic equipment like navigation control boards. Ooh, can you imagine what they charge for that? Steve says, I bought a laser engraver. 2 plastic wall hooks arrived. I got ripped a bit. Ooh, that's terrible. And then, there are all those memes going around on the internet about, like, if you order from Wish, and Wish is like this cheap version of all the other online stores. So whenever you order something from Wish that, like, let's say, it's a cup, it's going to be the worst kind of cup that you can get, right?
What I ordered versus what I got.
Correct.
Yes. That's how they meme it.
All right. Well, let us welcome this morning Solomon Gunden, who is going to join us to talk about markets.com. And he's the managing director of Finalto in South Africa, a global market specialist, trader, and he's also a seasoned banker. Solomon, it's nice to see you. How are you?
Morning, Gareth. I'm good. Are you well?
Excellent. Thank you. It's good to have you on the show, and we're looking forward to and excited to have something new on cliffcentral.com with markets.com. So just tell us quickly, because I think a lot of people, are new traders. They're looking for a safe place to start. Maybe there's some people who are listening now who are experienced traders who are looking for low spreads, multi-assets, high tech. Markets.com is really for everybody. So tell us a little bit about the business and kind of what markets.com is all about and what the association to Finalto is.
Sure. Markets.com is a business inside of Finalto. It is the retail trading arm of Finalto. The Finalto group consists of predominantly 4 different businesses. One is Markets.com. It is a fintech business that develops tech for big banks or for big institutions that do not have the technology. The third piece is it's a liquidity provider. It provides liquidity. We have a massive liquidity desk sitting out in dealing centers in London, and it provides liquidity to the global markets. And the final piece is in Finalto is the CRM or data piece. We manage massive amounts of data, and we have an understanding of how to manage data, and we make this accessible to brokers or financial service providers that don't have such capabilities.
That sounds fantastic. All right. So what is the business of markets.com? Is it a trading platform? Is it a place that gives you information? Like, help us to understand this from, from a dummy like me, from my point of view.
Got you. So Markets is, yes, it's definitely a trading platform. It's an online trading platform. The platform is basically a portal into exchanges or into assets that are traded on a global scale. It's not necessarily an exchange traded asset portal. It could be a non-exchange traded asset portal, but it gives you access to a multiple of assets. For example, you could trade indices like the S&P 500, NASDAQ, the JSE.
Mhm.
You could trade single stock futures like Anglo-Randa, or you could trade the fintech stocks in the US. You could also trade cryptocurrencies, foreign exchange. We trade what we call gray markets. So before there's an IPO or before there's a initial public offering, we make a gray price, and you could trade that before the listing. And of course, there's other assets that we'll bring onto the market, like exchange traded futures and so on.
This is amazing. All right. So Solomon, help me understand this quickly, because that's a huge range of products. A lot of people maybe they're already involved in trading. Maybe they've already, bought certain assets. They're interested in certain markets, and you can do it all in one place here on markets.com, which is kind of exciting, because they may have 10 different things that they have to open up, 10 different tabs on their browser. They may be on 10 different sites. They may be in 10 different places. So markets can allow you to do all of this at once, right? In one place at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. So the market's philosophy is quite simple. It's to be responsible and to provide all of the trading tools or research tools to the discerning trader, whether you're a novice trader, you're a professional trader, or you trade as an institution. So inside the markets domain, inside the single sign-on markets platform, you can access the research. We've got external research providers. We create our own content through our analysts who sits out in the UK. We also produce a lot of the technical information that's inside the platform. So for the fundamental trader that looks for long-term investments or look for long-term trading analysis, you'll find it inside the research portal, and then you can go and stick your trade into the platform. For the guy that's a technical trader, most of our FX and gold guys are technical traders. They'll trade short-term. You'll find that there's lots of tools, like, for example, you could look at the charting. You could look at some of the analysis tools that allows you to plot your stop losses, profit takes, and put on short positions. So it caters for everybody, right across from novice to the professional trader.
I love this because the information component is so important, and anybody who's ever made money, whether it's in trading or investing long term or anything else, and we've talked to a lot of them on the show, they all say to you need more information. Of course, you guys are not you're not giving financial advice, but you allow people access to all the other places where they can get financial advice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't give financial advice. The system through algorithmic information might direct or give you some sort of sense. If you look at the charts, for example, inside markets.com, you can plot a trade and you can see the trend, and you can then start to put on your own trade. It's very short term, however. But if you want advice, of course, you can source advice from many. As you know, there's many different sources in terms of market information, economic information, technical information. Some of the service providers are contributors to our platform. For example, we've got Reuters that contributes information inside the platform. But besides that, information ratio is wide and vast for any trader that's looking to trade.
All right. So who's your typical client? I mean, you've indicated that you'd have technical traders. You can have people who are maybe day traders, people who are looking for initial public offerings, crypto traders. Is there any kind of person in particular that you're looking for? How do I know if I'm a markets.com client?
I mean, historically, we've had we've had a certain LSM category that traded onto trading platforms like ourselves. We've also found that historically, because the numbers were so small, because a lot of people left institutions to kind of take over their investments or their savings and kind of trade for them. What we found is a migration, however. People are starting to take ownership. I think COVID had something to do with it. People sat home, they've had a lot of time to spend on their investments, their portfolios, and analyze the market. So we've seen a lot of people in this, not just in South Africa. It started out in the UK. We've now seen it's becoming predominant in South Africa. That guys are sitting on the platform and looking to take over some portion of their portfolios, or look at it as call it a frugal hack to make additional money by trading, unemployment, and so on and so forth. So the typical client has now changed. The profile, the dynamic has changed. The demographic has changed. We're finding younger people coming to the platform. We're finding people with lesser deposit values coming to the platform. And the good thing about markets is that we've understood we're not just a global brand that's forcing a global strategy or a global plan to the local market. We become a uniquely South African brand because we understand we've got to cater for the entire demographic profile, the lower deposit, the high deposit, the passive trader, the complex trader, the guy that knows the market and the guy that does not. One of the things we've done to make sure we're responsible and we've geared the market up in a very responsible way is that we've started weekend classes for guys that want to attend online, weekend classes to understand what is responsible trading? How do you navigate through the platform? How do you read research? How do you stop if there's a potential loss? How do you stop your losses and not lose all of your equity? So those are kind of the things we've had to do to ensure the new guy that comes to the market is finding a great experience inside the platform.
That's terrific. So you're actually offering people classes as well to learn how to trade better. You've got the inputs of all these various, the different stock markets, the different IPOs that are listed, crypto markets, a bunch of different assets. So we'll be looking at the market as a whole, which I think is very, very exciting. But I think it's great that you're offering people free or the ability to learn information that can help them to understand the market better.
Yeah, absolutely, Gareth. I mean, we've got to act responsibly. So we're not about chasing bottom line. We're about ensuring that we've got longevity. We're ensuring that we are a highly regulated broker. Quite frankly, we're one of the very few brokers with what we call an ODP license, an over-the-counter derivative product license. And I think that's a very key point, because if a client for the first time is going to enter the trading markets, that's the first question he should ask of any of his broker. Do you hold an ODP license? And if you do not, then I'd caution moving forward with that broker, because the regulator ensures that there's certain liquidity requirements, there's certain capital requirements, there's appropriateness testing so that people don't lose money. The potential for loss is inherent, we know that, but we don't want people to lose money. We want them to act responsibly. We got to be responsible first before clients are.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And a lot of people have been swindled by a lot of these fly-by-night operations. And these licenses and these conditions for trading properly are massively important. Nobody needs to be taken for a ride. And that's also why we wanted to have someone on the show who has not only access to all of these different markets, but also someone who is responsible and who has the required licenses, so that we know we're dealing with a real business here and not some dodgy bunch of people. Because I mean, I'm sure Solomon, there are plenty of people in your world, in the finance world, who have made a quick buck, and then they think they're the real deal. They think that they can now go on and manage other people's money. You can't just do that, right?
No, absolutely, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a consumer-based business. Some people, it's a lost kind of a disposable income that they're putting into a trading portfolio and trying to earn something out of it. So yes, you cannot just not add a value add to a client by just taking money, holding it, and giving it back to them, or not giving it back to them because it's in a loss position. Our value add is that, once again, as I mentioned, it's the portal. It's making sure we've got them to a point of responsible trading before we give them execution rights. and we, the way the platform works is if there's a broker in it for money, there'll be a commission base. We don't charge commissions. We're at the lowest points in our spread, so we're not in it to make a quick buck and just move on to the next client. We're here for longevity.
I love it. It sounds terrific. You're also going to be giving us plenty of intel on what is going on in the markets, which I think is very, very exciting for many of us. People are looking for more information, but information that is particular to them and information which will be useful in helping them to trade better. And that's exactly why we're thrilled to have markets.com on cliffcentral.com from here on in. That was Markets Mondays, which is with Solomon Gundin. Here he is. We'll also be speaking to some of your people in the UK, right? We're going to speak to some of your market specialists, so that's exciting. And we'll get to hear from different people every second week. Here it is. Twice a month on the show, we will bring you Markets Mondays with markets.com. And you can find out more by going onto the internet, and you can check out all of their different handles. They're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube, markets.com. And we'll put all those links up on Cliff Central as well. They will be back again in 2 weeks. You can follow the link on cliffcentral.com to register with them. Solomon, great to see you. Thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So there it is, Markets Mondays, brought to you by markets.com. Very, very cool stuff. And we will chat to Solomon and his team very, very soon to find out even more about how we can make our money work harder for us. Very cool. All right. So what's your plan for the public holiday, Mash and Leigh-Ann Mole? What are you guys going to be doing?
Probably get absolutely drunk.
Are you going to get drunk?
Okay.
Hey, Leigh-Ann, that used to be your modus operandi when you were Mash's age. Don't pretend you're better than that.
Well, the thing is, so you can get drunk tonight, but not tomorrow night, right?
Yes, tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
I might just perhaps in the evening do like a little braai, very quick braai, invite maybe 2 friends over or something, and see how it goes.
2 new friends from Checkers.
I invited 2 new friends.
Yeah. Your 2 new friends. And knowing you, though, you'll make 4 new friends during the course of the day today, and there'll be 20 people at your house.
I probably will at Checkers.
You can wear your gown tonight when you braai.
Yes, I'll definitely do that.
Just be
and I'll
careful
make
with
mayonnaise. Now I'll try to be careful with those. Yeah, make some mayonnaise for everyone. It'll be fun.
All right, I love it. All right.
What are you guys getting up to?
I've got a dinner with 2 friends. They've just got back from an amazing holiday in Ibiza. So they're going to make me dinner tonight. We're going to catch up with them. And that's it. Otherwise, I'm chilling for the rest of the day today and tomorrow. I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. You're going to be at work today. I've got a couple of things I have to do from an admin point of view, make a few payments, send a few emails out, doing some general admin. But let's not kid ourselves. No one's going to be organizing meetings today. No one's going to be doing major deals today. There's not going to be any serious discussions or any of that stuff today in terms of business, right? Who are we trying to kid?
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
Look,
No.
for me, it's a little different because my clients are in the UK. So unfortunately, the show must go on for me. But I do get the benefit of these surprise bank holidays when the rest of you are working, which is great.
That's true.
Ooh, look at
All right.
you.
Well, I hope everybody's ready to have a fun day today and get some cool stuff done. And even if it's not productive, just maybe make it a day for self-pampering. Do something fun.
Yeah.
Self-pleasure.
Self-pleasure.
Mhm.
One of my friends was informed by the airline that her flight was moved by a day. So the flight was canceled for the day that she thought it was. So she had this bonus day that she would have spent traveling anyway. She hadn't made any appointments. She didn't have anything that she needed to do. She was already packed and ready to go. So I said to her, well, why don't you, go for a massage? Do something. Treat yourself to something today. I know that none of us have like tons of cash lying around, spare money, but occasionally it's nice to like treat yourself. So see if you can do something like that today. That could make it a really fun way to spend the afternoon. What do you think?
Level up
Day
day.
Yeah.
Day spirit. Yeah, this afternoon.
Carl is, of course, such a kind feminist. He's going to use all the dishes tonight, so his wife has something to do on Women's Day. Isn't that nice? Very good. Yep.
Carl,
That's terrific. That's absolutely lovely. What a terrific human being. Imagine being married to that. She must. What a lucky girl she is.
oh, what a lucky
Well,
girl.
If he's joking, then it's fine, because then at least you're married to someone who's got a sense of humor, which I know Carl does have, so that's okay.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's the only thing that keeps the marriage together is a sense of humor. Isn't that about right? Before we go, though, I didn't want to start the show with this or get it going too early, but here's a riddle on a grave, which Leigh-Ann found. Only Leigh-Ann finds these kinds of things, but here it is. So this is written on someone's grave, and you can explain to us what it is. It looks like a normal tombstone. The guy's name is Philip Albert Strauss Jr., and he obviously was born in 1951. It doesn't say when he died. It says, "What do dead people eat, which if live people eat, they die? Answer on the other side." And what is it?
Well, any guesses? Can you think of something that what can dead people
What can
eat?
dead people eat?
Or what do they eat, actually? But if
what's
live
that?
people eat,
Embalming fluid?
well, are they technically eating it? No, because they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And if
So
you
I
go
got this
to
from you. I got this from you
Yeah.
last night, and I didn't actually understand it. So I just thought, well, you'll explain it to me in the morning, and I gave it not an actual second thought. Is this to do with maybe the reflection on this tombstone, because it's quite polished? Does it have? Is there maybe something growing in
Yeah,
those plants that's
is there a
poisonous
clue?
for living people or something that underground?
you think even more than I did. I certainly didn't get the answer, and I was becoming frustrated. So I would have been one of the people who went onto the other side of the tombstone to find the answer. And if you do
Does he
go
mean
onto the other side,
Is
well,
he
look,
just talking about the other side as in like the life-death barrier? It's like, I'm going to the other side. Cheers, guys. See you later.
well, that's why it's also clever, because he's put other and side starting with capitalized letters. So it is a bit sinister. So the person who actually wrote the story said he and a friend were looking at it, and eventually the one gave up and went to the back of the tombstone, and his friend said, "What's on that side?" And he said, "Nothing." And that is the answer.
That is the
Nothing.
answer.
Okay, so dead people eat nothing, and if
Oh.
live people eat nothing, then they die.
We die.
Dun, da, da, da,
Oh.
da. Bum, bum. That's a hell of a way to end the show this morning. Okay, so we ended the show with a nice riddle from Leigh-Ann and a dead guy called Philip Strauss Jr. Nice.
There we go.
Wow.
All right, very good. Okay,
Well, that was
nice
fun.
work, guys. Have a happy. Well, parallel parking got it right long before you revealed the answer. So obviously we've got some smart people here, very, very smart people. And
Thank
yeah,
goodness.
you got it long ago. It's 7:55. It's already like 2.5 minutes ago that he figured it out. Not like us idiots. Okay, guys, have a happy day. That is your Monday morning, and we will see you tomorrow. No, we won't, because tomorrow's a holiday. We'll see you on Wednesday. That's when we'll be back. Wednesday morning, 6 a.m., bright and early. Mash, Leigh-Ann, and I. Cheers. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.